Hello, everyone. Welcome to the eighth episode of Add Water and Stir with Adopted Black Mom and Complicated Melodies. Mimi, what's going on, girl?
Hey, nice to see you again. We had a little technical difficulty, but we're working it out.
Yeah.
So hope people are still hanging on with us.
Good job. Good job. Hey. Oh, we got people. We have people.
Not yet. Sure, somebody's listening to this right now, though.
Mimi got me all excited. We got goals and aspirations.
So what's good? What's been going on with you?
Oh man, like it's been a series of ups and downs and some real challenges, but oh, Mimi's sipping tonight. Y'all see her? Y'all see her? You know, she ain't got a mug with some water in it this week. I see. It's been a series of ups and downs. You know, we've still been kind of struggling with this whole dedication thing, and
Yes.
um, although I think that we're making progress, and so we have. I think I'm kind of feeling a lot better about this, um, having to educate
Yes.
my community about adoptive families. So the top of your head is completely cut off,
Okay.
like from
How's
like
that?
here up.
Better? I wanted y'all to see my bougie black girl shirt, but I'm trying to like make it work, but it's just not doing it. But see,
There you
just get
go.
a little vision of it right here.
Yeah,
You know,
yes, there you
there you
go.
go. Okay.
I needed a shirt for this episode, so.
That's why I was trying to work it out, but you know.
Oh shoot!
All right. I didn't mean to interrupt you though.
I just realized, like, okay, so apologies to everybody. We had technical difficulties, so some of the things that I normally would have been doing to get ready didn't get done. Um, and so, that said, things are, I have accepted the trailblazing role at the church. I'm trying to educate people about adoptive families, and today I actually sent the blog that I posted um, from that pastor on adoption blessings. I sent that today because I said, hey, November, maybe you might want to do something because we have a really big church. We got like five, six services. So I'm assuming that we can't be the only family up in this piece. Statistically, we shouldn't be the only family
Right.
up
Exactly.
here. So, maybe y'all should think about us and give us a shout out, and just include us in this kind of, we need that support. So I finally kind of made peace with that. I left Hope with, she doesn't like nanny, she doesn't want like sitter, so she called her hangout buddy. So we have two hangout buddies. Um,
Okay.
but 13, it ain't cool. So I left her with the nannies this weekend, and some folks in my life thought that the world was going to come to hell in a handbasket, and it didn't. And but what happened, the blessing that has come out of it, although it makes me sad too, is how much my girl grew
Oh.
over the few days that I was gone, which seemed like an eternity, but like she like did her little housework chores. When I got home, she was like, "Oh, you don't need to tuck me in anymore." What?
Oh. You like just one night though? 2 nights? 3 nights?
Well, it was like, I mean, I was gone for 5 days, and so I
Yeah.
was gone for a minute, and I'm leaving again this weekend for more travel, and so tonight she announced, she was like, I was like, God, I would give anything to sleep late because I'm really tired because I haven't recovered from one trip, and then I'm going on another one this weekend. And she was like, well, you can sleep late. You're telecommuting tomorrow. And I was like, well, I got to get up and see about you, make sure you get on the bus. She was like, I got that. And I was like, oh,
What happened to my daughter?
what
What?
happened to my baby? She was like, I'm dang. And I was like, okay, I'm still going to be getting up, of course. But this streak of like, I got this, and I'm kind of coming into my own is so wonderful. And yet I'm like, wow, like the period of kind of, I don't know, really taking care of her in that way is already seeping away. And it just happened so quickly that it just makes me happy and sad.
Oh.
So it's good. I also whacked off the hair.
I see, but it's looking fabulous. You know,
Thank
I love it. Your makeup is popping today. You're looking great.
Trying, girl, faking it till I make it, concealer. Um, but I did get a couple of bad haircuts, and last week I went to my meeting with a very bad haircut. You frozen up, like.
I know.
But I went to my meeting with a really wretched haircut, and but I was the only person of color there, and it felt almost like either they were so compassionate not to say anything, or they didn't notice how bad my hair looked. Like it was, it was bad though.
It was that bad.
It was bad. So yesterday I had to go to the barber. I had to forget the hairdresser. I got to go to a straight barber shop, and my guy hooked me up, and so I'm fresh to death now. So I'm feeling good about myself. I'm smelling myself a little bit.
Yeah, you look good. You look good. So do the thing.
So what's
I don't know
going
why I'm frozen on this side, but can you still hear me?
on? I can hear you fine.
Okay, well, we'll keep rolling then.
Yeah. So you look cute, frozen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I'm doing my little dance over here like boom, boom. I don't know what's going on, but let's keep it moving.
Right. So what's going on with you, official mommy?
Yeah, I know. We are officially a family. We finalized last week and nothing changed besides the paperwork, but we are official now, so that's exciting.
Awesome.
And we just continue to grow together as a family every day. It's just really cute to watch Nana grow and develop and everything. So it's really cute. And I just like love her just more every day. She's just growing so much.
Oh.
I'm also thinking, I reflect quite a bit about her biological parents. Like it it bothers me in some way that I feel like her people don't know anything about her. They know about her, but they don't know that she's adopted. They don't know where she's living. They don't know anything about her. And I'm not ready to, go out and seek them yet, but I continue to think about them and I continue to pray for them and hope that they find some semblance of peace within themselves.
Yeah.
Um, And I also, I talked to my mom about this, and it's interesting again how privilege or, when you've come through something, you forget your struggle
Hmm.
because I was like, her perspective was so similar to what we hear about other people when they talk about biological parents that have had their children taken away through foster care, right? That something is wrong with them or they didn't work hard enough to get their person back, which may or may not be true. I can't really speak for Nana's parents, but it was just interesting because I was like, what about you? You
Mm.
got your family back. So, somebody could have said that about you. But
Hmm.
anyway, so, anyway, if you're interested, you can read the blogs about, what ABM and I have been going through. You can find me at complicatedmelody.com and you can find ABM at where can they find you?
At adoptiveblackmom.com.
All right. Now,
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know what's going on. Am I still frozen?
You're still frozen.
I don't know I'm frozen on my window here too, and I can't make any changes, and I'm just
Oh my.
scared to do anything. So, um, you know,
Huh.
I don't know. It's gonna be like that,
Maybe
I
turn
guess.
your camera off and on. Have you tried that?
I can't even do anything. It's,
Oh.
in the circle of death. So,
Oh. Okay.
if I get a chance to do something, I will.
Okay. Well, let's get into our topic for the evening. This episode is called Black and Bougie, and Mimi and I wanted to talk a little bit about this kind of middle class, privileged black thing, and because adoption is often characterized as kind of a privileged thing because it is often perceived to be a very expensive endeavor. It doesn't have to be, but it often is perceived that way. So because of that, there's this kind of assumption that middle and upper middle class families are the ones doing the adoption. Well, according to the Census Bureau, that's actually largely true. You do see more families of some economic privilege that are adopting. And I don't know, when I brought this topic up a few weeks ago, we kind of talked about it a little bit. And I don't know about Mimi's experience and kind of going through foster to adopt, but in my agency, the people of color that are adopting are kind of, doing all right. Nobody, everybody's doing okay. Everybody's doing okay, and so what's interesting though, in my own experience, and we'll talk about this, is that because if you're in a group that's doing okay, you're usually, with other people who are doing okay. You kind of are socializing with people of your same socioeconomic kind of class. But when adoption comes into the mix, there may be some kind of tensions because there's some expectations about what bougie black folk do that may or may not fit with where you are with your adoptive family. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about being black and kind of middle class and this adoption thing and this kind of these crossroads. And so if you don't know what bougie is, you can go to my my most recent post that promotes this evening's podcast, and there's a nice link to the Urban Dictionary definition number 2.
So bougie has a little of a spectrum, right? So yes. you can go from Bougetto. How do you pronounce it? Bougetto?
Well, Bougetto, or one of my friends calls it gay bouge.
Oh, okay. So you can go from that side, you can go all the way to, true bourgeois, right?
Right.
So BuzzFeed had a little survey that kind of checked how bougie you were. So where did you fall in the survey?
I was a 44 out of 100, so I had bougie tendencies. So I can apparently turn on and off my bouginess as needed.
So my score was a little, obviously these are broad categories, because my score, I think I got a 25, and I rounded up for a couple things. It told me I had bougie tendencies too. So I was like, well, that's probably true. So I will take that one. But
she says with a t-shirt on.
Well, I'm bougie and I'm proud, say it loud. But, my family has always called me that, and sometimes I don't appreciate it, because sometimes it has that negative connotations.
Right.
But I guess part of what we wanted to talk about was really how that affected your parenting. So, and maybe versus how you grew up. You're in the parenting style. I don't know. What do you think? Is there a difference between?
Well, I will say this, that there are, at least in the South, and I imagine it's probably like this in other regions, a couple of ways of having social currency. There's a couple of means of having social currency in the black community. So one is certainly just straight up affluence, right? But the other one is through the church. Like, so if your people, your parents are pastors, deacons, trustees, or whatever, that oftentimes can give you a bit of social currency where you may not have affluence, economic affluence. You still have some social currency because those folks still get invited to stuff, right?
Huh, interesting.
And so we didn't really have any money. But we had the church thing, so we got invited to a lot of stuff, and there wasn't a lot of keeping up with the Joneses, but there was certainly some social expectations because of the places that we were invited to go with people who had money.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so there was this kind of exposure to solidly middle class and up. And so, we still got invited to the cotillions. We still got invited, because you're going to invite Deacon so-and-so, right? You're going to invite Deacon so-and-so, and you're going to invite Pastor. And so, since we had those people in my family, we were invited to those things. So we did have to learn, we went to charm school and all that little kind of stuff. But we didn't have money. So I do think it's important for folks to understand that there are a couple of ways of having social currency. But now I think, well, before Hope came, people were like, oh, well, are you going to put her in private school? Are you like going to move to go to a different school? Are you going to join this organization like Jack and Jill, which is a social organization that Black folks join? And it really is a middle class kind of, we want our kids to hang out with other kids like the kids that we want them to hang out with, right?
Uh-huh.
And so there was kind of all of this like, well, you got to get her in all the right things. And when she got here, I was like, well, one, even if we wanted to, now is not the time. Even though now is when all of the invitations are coming to join all this stuff, but there was no way that we were in a position to accept those invitations. I mean, we're just unstable. Um, and so the other thing is kind of for Hope, it was more of a culture shock. I mean, moving from where she moved to here was a culture shock. Having a new family was a culture shock. And so then, with me thinking about, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna join Jack and Jill. We're gonna go here and do this and do that. There was no. We had to shut all that down. There was no way. But it's funny because now, like 8 months later, almost 9 months later, we don't have those invitations anymore. And even now, I'm not really sure if we're ready for them, but we don't have those, like, those doors have closed. At least they feel like they have.
Hmm. That's
But I'm not
interesting.
really sure, even if they were open, if we would still be walking through them at this time or later. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that's who. I think it's who I am, but I don't know if it's who we are.
That what you just said was a really interesting concept about who you are versus now who you are as a family.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I read some time ago was about cross kind of, what do they call it? Cross class families,
Mm-hmm.
which I think Wood and I are, and it affects our parenting style. So everybody probably has the same story. So we were probably middle class, but lower middle class. My mom was a teacher. So she didn't really necessarily have the social cachet. She wasn't necessarily considered professional in the sense of white collar work. I mean, she's a teacher. So sometimes we think of that as um, maybe more white collar, but at the same time, when you think about the salaries and the access to things, she didn't necessarily have it. And being first generation,
Mm-hmm.
college educated, right? So she didn't necessarily have those entry into certain type of things. And then on my husband's side, he's actually first generation college. So he's really starting the trend for himself. So there is, in a sense, a little bit of a class difference in the sense of how we grew up. Because even though my mother didn't have entry to those, I had friends who had, their parents, networked in those circles. And so since we were in the same kind of educational circles, they invited me to come. And so I was in part of things like inroads growing up and other kind of events where they're helping, other professional people get together and be like, your child needs to be in this type of thing where you're learning how to navigate those type of worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And so that impacts our parenting styles. What we think about is the best way to parent Nana, what our expectations are about what experiences she should have.
Mm-hmm.
So I read this thing, and we'll put in the show notes. This is an article, and it's really bothering me that my screen is is frozen.
Well, it's not even frozen anymore on screen. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just the Add Water and Stir logo
Oh, really?
kind of pulsating on the
It's
screen.
pulsating. I,
Like
I
every
have
time you talk, there's like these circles that come out around it. It's kind of cool, but like,
I have no idea what's happening. I am so sorry, people who are watching. But one of the articles that I read, it's called "Family Focus on Families and Social Class." So it talks about the difference between the parenting between what they call middle class working class, and poor whites, and African Americans. So what they did was they did a study between they just did whites and African Americans, and then they looked at people who are poor and middle class and kind of tried to take some distinctions between those. And so what it says is that middle class parents, well, what it says is, what the article says is, what we found that although parents want their children to be happy and to thrive, social class makes a very substantial difference in how this universal goal is met. Middle class parents promote what I call concerted cultivation, which means they actively foster their children's talents, opinions, and skills by enrolling the children in organized activities, reasoning with them, and closely monitoring their experiences in institutions such as schools. The focus is squarely on children's individual development. And then they talk about how this leads to kind of an emerging sense of entitlement, that they're very busy, they're very scheduled, things like that. Now, for middle class and working class, for working class and poor families, what they say is they promote accomplishment of natural growth, which is more what I grew up with, which is the parents care for their children, love them, set limits for them, but within their boundaries, they allow the children to grow spontaneously. Actually, I was a mixture of this. Children do not have organized activities. They play outside with their cousins and siblings. They watch televisions. Parents typically use more directive statements than reasoning, right? They negotiate institutional life, including their day-to-day school experiences, on their own. The children do, right? So the parents aren't necessarily as involved in their day-to-day school life. And they're also distrustful of contacts with the school and healthcare professionals. And so they said those children come out with the emergent sense of constraint. So the ones who have this concerted cultivation have more of an entitlement, and the ones that don't have this concerted sense of constraint. What about you? How did you grow up? And then, how does that impact kind of the way you parent hope?
I think it was a bit of a mixture. I think that there were periods where we were very scheduled and periods where we weren't. And there was this kind of, I think when we were younger, my mom was at home with us, we weren't as scheduled. There was a lot of playtime. There was just a lot of unscheduled time. Not so much TV, but just lots of playtime. But then, when we got school age, we had sports, or one of my sisters played piano, and there was something, as we kind of got progressively older, there was also an expectation that we be in some type of activity that was making constructive use of our time. And so there was a bit of, I can't say it wasn't constraint, but I think that it was far more directive when we were young and far more kind of that external learning focus as we got older. Now, how does that affect me now? It's kind of weird because there are periods where I feel like I need to be really directive, but my daughter is also 13.
Right.
So so we do have to have some scheduled activities that we do. And some weeks it feels like a lot of stuff, and we've got a calendar, and there's piano lessons, and then there's a drama camp, and there's just stuff. And when I look at the calendar, sometimes I do just feel tired. I feel tired.
Right.
But it's also kind of, I'm helping her pursue, at least I tell myself I'm helping her pursue her interest, and isn't this what I'm supposed to be doing?
So that sounds like more of the concerted cultivation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that there were probably more along that lines now, and now after this week, I don't know what she's going to be like at the end of the month, but after this week with this kind of newfound, hey, I can do this, and this isn't, when I got home, I was like, were you kind of freaked out? Okay, I'm sorry, I got to be gone so much this month. It's my heaviest travel month of the year. And she was like, it really wasn't so bad. And I'm so happy about that, but I also am kind of like, well, gee, I think maybe we might also be getting ready to hit a tipping point where she will be far more open to tell me what it is that she wants versus I'm signing you up for piano lesson,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So what about you? I mean, Nana's only two.
Right. And I think this whole theory of concerted cultivation is something that I think is definitely a pressure for middle class families, I think, because even before I had Nana, I already felt kind of this pressure about um, what type of activities I would put her in, or what type of, when you get a child, all this expectation that the parents are very involved in each kind of detail of the children's life, which is not really how I grew up with. So I would say that I would say that more, my parent was more of the accomplishment of natural growth. She
Hmm.
allowed us to, and this is where we say, where they allow the children to go spontaneously. My mother was supportive of everything that I wanted to do, but she wasn't the one scheduling us. I scheduled myself. I found stuff that I was interested in doing, and she was supportive of it versus her taking the active role in scheduling things. Now, when I was younger, she tried to do dance and things like that, but honestly, most of it was me finding an interest and me determining that's what I wanted to do, not her driving that.
Gotcha.
Versus now, I feel like um, Nana is two, so I kind of have already said I don't really want to do anything with her yet until she gets three. But I think that probably wouldn't have crossed my mother's mind at three. She was like, "You're three. Like, I'm not thinking about any type of activity for you."
Hmm.
But that seems to be kind of like my social class. Like, well, what are you gonna do? What do you not? My child, I think I'm gonna put her in gymnastics, or she's already gonna take music lessons and all these things. I'm gonna get her start soccer. All these things where you really are starting to schedule your life. And what this article calls it is the in terms of in describing the middle class, I use the term the frenetic family. Things are so hectic that the house sometimes seems to be little more than a holding space for the brief periods between activities. And
Oh.
honestly, maybe because I didn't grow up like that, I am deathly afraid of that. Like, I'm so afraid of becoming
Hmm.
overscheduled, overworked, and where we don't really have true family time. It's just like, oh, tonight we have to go to soccer and we have to go to this and we have to go to this, and then you get home and let's finish your homework and then take a bath and go to bed. I'm scared of that. Like, it just doesn't feel right to me. So I
Hmm.
feel like I'm in this middle piece of this.
So yeah, why do we do this? Is it because we have this fear that, oh my goodness, our kids are going to go to hell in a handbasket if we don't? Is it because, and I mean, it might be all of these things that I'm about to make up, but uh, but I mean, I see it across my friends' racial groups. But
Yep.
I mean, all of us are, of course, at the same kind of socioeconomic status. But I see little kids and really fun classes. But I'm also like, ooh, boy, those are little bitty cutie pies. Like that class must be like corralling cats. Like I don't know what they're
Actually learning.
you know but is it because we're like, okay, well, if we find their hidden passion at the tender age of 4, then or if I nurture Hope's musical styling, then I can live in the back of a really tricked out tour bus in my retirement, which I do have this fantasy about. But you know,
Right.
but I mean, why is it that affluence also kind of says, well, we have to do all of this stuff?
I think it's because this is theory, right? Some of the things are life lessons that you want your children to have. So part of this whole thing about concerted cultivation. So there's another piece of that besides the scheduling piece, right? There's also the reasoning with your children versus definitely when I grew up, there was not a lot of reasoning. It was like, you're going to do this.
Yeah.
Um, and that's because I said so versus I have an opinion. Like Nana sometimes, because I guess she learned this at school, and if she doesn't like what we do, she'll say, "It's not okay, mommy." And I can't imagine that I was able to say that to my mother because she was like, no, don't say that to me anymore. I don't care if you think it's okay or not.
See our
Um,
episode on discipline, episode 7.
exactly. But I'm okay with her expressing that it's not okay. Like she
Yeah.
might actually feel like it's not okay. Like it's okay to have that feeling. And that's a little bit different than the way that I grew up. Well, the life skill that teaches is about being able to question authority, right? And so that's helpful when we talk about navigating through systems. And we this thing keeps coming through up through a lot of our conversations, right? So what it says here is middle class children are taught to ask doctors questions and to feel that they have the right to challenge people in positions of authority. And so it suggests that there's advantages through that in the world of work. So um, because you're able to ask questions like, why don't I get this benefit? Or why didn't you hire me? What do I need to do to get to the next thing? You
Right.
know, all these questions versus you told me no, so I just left. So there's pieces of that, but then there's also the piece of the the cultivation piece of, well, I need you to start learning this stuff because it looks good on your resume, and I need you to I'm preparing you for the world in front of you. And these are the things that people are going to be judging you on. So let's go ahead and get you involved in these things. So this is already part of your daily life versus trying to, at the age of 16, try to get you to volunteer. And you're like, I've never done that before. So I think that's part of it. And part of it just might be, I don't know, keeping up with the Joneses. I don't know. But I think it definitely takes a toll on black folks. You know, when we talk about the bougie things, you definitely are talking, you know, people will make jokes about what, you know, my husband and I are going to be doing with our kids because they already have these kind of expectations. Well, you guys live here and you do this. So I'm sure she's going to be, I don't know, playing violin next year or something.
Yeah, a couple of things that you mentioned that kind of struck me, at least kind of applying a lens of color on it, is this kind of, yes, so this kind of middle class life, does bring a, hey, wait a minute, no, you can't just treat me any old kind of
Hmm.
way. Do you know who I am?
Right.
Kind of thing, right? Um, but there's still this kind of need to, as much as it's like, okay, well, yeah, of course, this is who I am, and don't you know who I am, and all of that. But we also continue to see that, there are some authoritative figures who really just don't care.
Right.
And so there's still this kind of, how then do we protect our kids from that, okay, that you're like, here's my business card. Um, here's my business card, which I think I wrote about this at some point, that I was
Yes.
like, I'm going to put my business card in Hope's backpack in case she ever gets in trouble. And
Right.
they search her stuff so that they see ABM, degree, letters.
Right. Exactly.
Because that's going to mean something to some person of authority, and frankly, she's entitled to that as my daughter,
Right.
whatever break it is that she gets. But I'm not going to lie that I feel some kind of way that we all don't have a business card with somebody's letters behind it.
Right. I think your point is a good one too. So part of that bougie or whatever mentality is this ability to use those credentials or use this ability to um, communicate in a certain way to get your point across and to kind of work to understand when's the right time to use those things.
Yeah.
But the added thing on being black and bougie is you still need to teach your child how to code switch, right? So you can teach them this kind of ability, like you have the right to question authority, but you also have the additional responsibility of saying, but in this situation, this is not how you need to handle it.
Right.
So sometimes maybe people don't get all of that. I feel like there's two pieces of it.
Yeah.
I need to teach you about, yes, you have the ability to ask questions, but I need you to understand that this is the reality of the world. So there's two parts to teaching someone and having this way of teaching, of parenting.
There's a caution that
Right.
comes. There's a caution. There's a certain amount of power that comes with the bouginess, but there's a caution that comes with it too. And and I mean, I think about this as I parent Hope, but I also think that this is something that all parents probably, well, not all parents, but maybe have this kind of flash through their mind, but I think that it's probably something that I wonder, and I, at my own idle curiosity, just because I really like stats, and there's just not stats on this,
Right.
but how many transracial families really think about this? Okay, so there's a certain amount of power that you have
Right.
by being a member of this family. How are you taught to navigate systems in a way that you use that power with caution?
Right. Or that you're aware of the reality of the perception of people that you're coming into contact with, right? I don't want it to limit you, but I don't want you to be just completely unaware
Right,
of what's happening.
right, right,
So I don't want you to come home and be like, this happened to me and I have no idea why. I
right,
need you to have some semblance of this happened to you, but this is not a limitation for you.
right, 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 right. This is how, I mean, I think that there's this piece too, is like, oh, well, sometimes Hope comes home and she tells me about stuff, and, she's like, there's no solution to this. And I'm like, "Psh, whatever, there's a solution to this.
I'm about to call them right now.
And the solution is when Dr. ABM calls, there's going to be a solution. And you know what buttons to push, right? But 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 there are families that don't have the buttons or don't
Right.
know the call, and so there's a challenge there. But I do think that the Census Bureau says that families who adopt tend to be more affluent. Our children have a much lower rate of being in poverty after adoption, or even close to it. So I think that a lot of families may think about, they may not be conscious about that there's this power that comes with affluence, and that there's a privilege that comes with it
Right.
that allows you the credibility and the cachet to kind of navigate these systems, to advocate not only for our kids, but just kind of walking through life,
Right.
you know.
Now, do you
So
have any negatives that come with this Black and Bougie? Because these are some of the positive. I feel like these are some of the positive aspects of. Uh, Nana's gonna have it a lot better than I have, and it's already gonna be natural for her. I had to learn a lot of these things,
right.
but this will be her normal life. Um, and on the negative side of that, maybe I do worry sometimes about her ability to, and I think we spoke about this in the discipline piece, fit back in with her. Everybody in your family is not where you are. You might
Right.
have been the one to get out,
Right.
you know, and that's why you have the name bougie.
Right. Right. Right.
So I need you to be able to do your thing over here with us, but I don't want you to get beat up by your cousins either. you know, I need you to be able to kind of hang with them too.
Right. So we are, I think Hope and I have having a crash course in this because of her age, and so she talks a lot about what life was like back home, and there's this kind of you know okay, so there's like the black folks that are from the hood, and then there's black folks that are from the suburbs, like like, and now she's like the latter versus the former, and so there's some culture clashes that we deal with, and yet there are also some pieces where within a certain period of time, she has become very comfortable. And as I'm Hope from the suburbs versus Hope from the hood. But it's not easy. It's not always easy, and I think that that her friends are from varying backgrounds, class backgrounds, and so there's some pressures I think there about how to behave, and she's still trying to learn cues about how to behave here anyway. So I think sometimes it might be a bit overwhelming and challenging because there's this added layer. It's like, there's lots of changes, but this class piece is also a change that um, is challenging. Is challenging, and there are times I think and I certainly don't mean to like freak her out, but like we went to Costco today and we had to buy new glasses and I had to like stock up on stuff, and like I don't know if I've ever spent as much as I spent at Costco without an electronic. Like a TV should have been in the back of the car today. And I don't know if she kind of fretted about how much money we spent, and it was like, okay, it was a lot and it freaks me out too, but it's okay. Are you still there? Uh-oh.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
So we there she worries about money. She worries about lots of things that I wish she didn't, but she's so used to
Right.
that it's hard.
Okay.
Hard. So so yeah.
So basically, Hope is in process of being bougified. Is that what you're saying?
She is trying to earn her bougie card, yeah. Mhm. Which is kind of interesting because the other thing is, a few months ago she took my black card. She just she
She
snatched
told, wait a minute. Part of being bougie is that I am also black. That is not up for
Yeah, but
that's that's not a conversation.
I'll have to put in the show notes a link to that when she took my black card, because it was basically, and I mean, it really gets to the heart of what we're talking about. She was like, there were not black people like you. Like the black people I know don't do this. They don't live like this. They don't act like this. They don't talk like this. They don't do the stuff that the places that we go to.
Right.
Like, this is not what I know to be blackness.
Right.
So you must not be black. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take your membership card.
Oh, excuse me. He's like, well, let me expand your mind.
Right. And so, and we still struggle with a lot of, well, this is what black people do and this is how black people behave. And I'm constantly battling this concept of what it means, to be black, and kind of trying to expand her concept of the diaspora to be inclusive of those of us who are, bougie.
Well, you know what? I understand where Hope is coming from because I had to go through that process myself, right? Of expanding, as I continue to check off these experiences, and I didn't know anybody that had done any of those things. I had to go through the process of expanding that and understanding, well, I'm here doing it, so obviously black people are doing it. And it's the other people, black people here with me.
Right.
So, but it is a process to get there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I feel you, Hope. We're here.
Yeah. So, it's I mean, it's cool, but we have some interesting conversations about race, and we have interesting conversations that are not specifically about class, but are about class.
Hmm. Right. And a
Um,
lot of things we're talking about are more class-based than race-based, right?
yeah, yeah. And so, they're good conversations, and they're always very challenging to kind of, I mean, when someone has this kind of, this is my worldview, and like, you just kind of start poking holes through it, and it's like, oh, what?
I never knew. I never knew.
And then it's like, is that true? Like, yeah, it's true. Like, you know.
I feel hope because before I went to grad school, I didn't know anybody that lived a black person that lived overseas. So
Yeah.
then we end up living overseas. So there you go.
There you go. So,
All right, it's almost 50 after. My
okay.
wine is almost gone over
I
here,
know.
even though you
So
can't
our
see it.
Bailey's is almost gone. So it's time for the wind down.
All right, all
So
right.
whining about this week? Like, 'cause we
What
like
are we whining
shows,
about?
like our shows went off, and I've tried to pick up a couple new reality shows, but well, one, I've been out of town, and I'm getting ready to go out of town again, and there's going to be probably another week of no TV, and then I missed Scandal tonight, so, and I don't think you're a Scandalite anyway, so
Did
yeah,
I say that? Did I tell people that?
I
Yeah, I'm
don't
not
know.
really. I used to. I mean, when Scandal first came on, I was like, "Oh, you got to watch it." But then after season two, I was like, "Oh, okay." The shark has jumped.
Well, the shark did jump, but I mean, I don't
Yeah.
really watch it for Olivia and Fitz. I'm here for Melly though. I'm here
Mel-
for it.
Melly is doing it. So we might have to. Okay, so this is what we need to ask our audience, people that are watching us, are listening to us at a later time. Please tweet us. Tweet
Yes,
us using the hashtag #AddWater and let us know what show we need to watch so we can wind down with because
yes.
we need a new thing to talk about. And Love and Hip Hop Hollywood just is not piquing my interest enough to keep it
I
going.
tried it for a couple of weeks, and I also tried the Pastors of LA and
The Preachers of LA?
Preachers,
Yeah.
yeah, Preachers of LA, and I just was like, this is a fresher mess than Love and Hip Hop. Like I was like, this when is pastors shacking up having all these kids, and ain't nobody like that's not a real first lady where I'm from. But
Wait a minute. Who are you talking about? Hold up.
I
Okay.
can't remember one of the younger ones, and like he got one of the other
Uh,
preachers to marry them, and then afterwards, like, oh, why didn't I tell you she was pregnant with our second baby? Oh, my bad. Um,
yeah, and real rude about it. Like he was judgmental. And I'm like, would you not want to know that if you're standing before God and be like, I'm representing these people? I can't with
I don't,
Dietrich. I know I wrote about him in my last blog, but I just really, he's not a person I don't think I would like in person.
I don't think I would like any of them. Frankly. I wouldn't like them. I ain't never going to their churches. I just, I need my pastors to be funny, but a little bit more straight laced and put together than that, like without all the flossing. And
I
so,
don't know. What's his name? One of the pastors. I'm like, oh, hey, pastor. What's his name?
I hate pastor.
Hey, hey, Pat. Hey,
Hey,
Reverend. I don't know what his name is, but he is nice looking.
well, yeah, there are some very nice looking folks on there, but it just it just was a hotter mess than almost. I mean, like with Love and Hip Hop, and it's that franchise. You know that you are getting ratchet. Like the Preachers of LA, like I just wasn't ready.
To see your preachers revealed.
I mean,
Yeah, that might be too
don't get me
much.
wrong. I'm not like one of those people that doesn't think that the pastor is human and you pull back the veil and all of that. But like, that was a heavy curtain behind
Yeah,
some of their stuff.
yeah. And you got the nerve to say something about me because I got pregnant again? Come on,
Right.
stop it.
But what you're not gonna do is stand up in that pulpit and chastise me about nothing. Like I just, we're not having that. Not
I
having
think he got accepted. I think he's getting accepted back in his church, or he did got accepted back as a pastor in his church now that he's married. But
we tend to be a very forgiving people.
we are forgiving. I guess we're supposed to be forgiving, but you don't have to be the pastor. So,
So,
anyway, I'm
oh,
not going to
I
mention
do
it.
have one thing that I want to mention now on the wind down. That's
Okay.
kind of reality. So, did you peep the whole like Aretha Franklin covering Adele's "Rolling in the Deep" earlier this week?
I missed that. So tell me about it.
Oh, Mother Aretha. So,
Did
I
it
will
not
put,
sound good?
we will put a link in the show notes to Mother Ree.
Did it sound good or did it
No,
not
like
sound good?
Adele don't have nothing to worry about. Like, I mean, at first I was like, oh my God, like Aretha is gonna sing "Rolling in the Deep," and then it was like, I don't think Adele has nothing to worry about. Like, and that it's just so it was just the
Well, why did she do this? What was the occasion?
I don't really know why, but it was a mess. And so like the makeup is like I don't know who, like somebody at a Mac counter somewhere went extra.
Oh no.
It's like purple, and it's just somebody at a Mac counter just like was like, I got a blank canvas, and Mother Aretha's let me do whatever I want.
Why
And
you call her Mother Aretha?
yeah, she's just I feel like
Like she on the motherboard.
I need to like revere her. I love Aretha Franklin, but I also need her to stop wearing strapless stuff. Foundation garments are
Woo!
everything.
The
Like
shade.
honey, like a tree. Like like a beach cabana shade, honey. Like because those like I mean it was a strapless, and even if it had spaghetti straps, like it just wasn't gonna work. Like I need her to put on something. It
What
was
you
like a bad prom dress
cap sleeves?
without I mean and then there's like bat wings. I mean it was a fresh mess. But let me tell you, that wasn't even the best part. Sissy Houston was singing with the backup singers. And it was clear that one, she was not here for Aretha because she was like caught like doing
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch. Please put this in the show notes so I can see all of these shenanigans.
Miss Sissy was not here for a Mother Aretha. She was singing backup and she was saltier than a mug,
I want
honey.
you to stop calling her Mother Aretha.
She was
Every
salty.
time you say that, I get a flash of her Aretha all in white with the little napkin that she put on the top on her legs, sitting in the front pew of the church.
It was everything. It was everything. And so yeah, she was a mess, but Cissy Houston also clearly did not know the song. So like so she's kind of like lip syncing in the background. Like
Wait. How do you lip sync the background? How do you do that?
it was
So you leaning on the other background singers
it
for
was
you.
everything. It was just everything that you like. It was shade for days. Like it was just the best and worst thing ever.
Okay, yes, I
So
must watch
so
it.
you need to Google Aretha Franklin "Rolling in the Deep," and so you got to watch it twice because one, you got to see it, Mother Aretha and all her like I need more foundation garments glory, but then you need to like zoom in on the second
Wait a
round.
minute, hold up. Hold up. Did you say Aretha's mother Aretha needs some foundation garments?
Yes, shade like a beach cabana. Yes, shade. And but then you need to watch it the second time just so that you can see Sissy Houston like going off in the background because it's everything. And I hate to see two sisters, old sisters at that, like
But
some great
I mean,
grandma.
was Sissy getting paid? Like, why did she even do it if she's not feeling Aretha? Was she all background singing for us? I have so many questions,
You
so I
have
just need to watch the video so I can understand what's going on.
questions. You have questions, and as future adoption says, I don't know if Sway has the answers, but let me tell you, you need to watch
I need to see.
that video because it is shade for days, and I am embarrassed to say I am here for all of it. Like it's the
Sound
funny.
like you had it on slow mo, but please, Mother Aretha, Madame.
Yes, I need her. I need somebody to take her to the lingerie department at Macy's, Nordstrom's, uh, Henri Bendel, somebody's like upscale place. Like just bind them up because it was a mess. It was all
Bye.
it was all over the place. Anyway, so that's my like tea.
Is that
Um,
your recommendation?
that's one of my recommendations for this week. Is watch that video. Like it should be embarrassing. It is embarrassing how much I enjoyed it, but like I can't stop watching it. And like there are all of these wonderful Sissy Houston internet memes. Oh my god, it's just I'm here for it. I am. I am. So anyway, so recommendations. What you got? What you got?
Well, I was actually going to recommend, in spirit of us talking about bougie black folk, did you happen to catch the new sitcom called Blackish?
I have not had a chance to watch it.
Okay, well, that is my recommendation for folks that you need to get these stats over to watch Blackish. Although, I wonder, is it Blackish like partly black, kind of black, or like black-ish, and they just, are playing a joke on the audience?
Hmm.
I know things that make you go, hmm. That
Hmm.
just could be me, and I'm slow. But in any way, the premise of the show is about this African American male who grew up in the hood, I guess. He grew up in the hood, but he has made it. He's married to a biracial wife. His wife is what's her
Tracy
name?
Ross. Tracy Ellis Ross.
Tracy Ellis Ross. The husband is what?
Anthony.
Anthony Anderson.
Yes. There you go.
Yes, Anthony Anderson. His name is Andre Johnson on the show. He does a great job. He has a beautiful house. He has 4 kids, and it talks about really kind of the issues of maybe assimilating into the culture, but also trying to keep it real. So it shows kind of maybe the inside thoughts of a black person as they navigate through all this. So the first episode talks about him getting a promotion to senior vice president, and he was excited, but it ended up being the senior vice president of urban marketing, which is a real thing, right?
Yeah, right.
Of when we finally do get into executive positions, a lot of times those positions are related to urban marketing or diversity or women's studies or something like that. So while it is still an executive position, sometimes we get pigeonholed, and his kind of feelings about that.
Mm. Mm.
um
They kind of go market to your people.
yeah, basically.
Go take care of your
Or
people.
don't you know about this stuff? Because you live it every day. And so that, and it talks about some other things that are in relation to him keeping it around. Lawrence Fishburne is on a sitcom, which I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And he is I think he's Anthony Anderson's father. He's the grandfather. I don't know if he lives there. He just pops up randomly. I can't really tell if he lives there or not. But I guess he's supposed to be maybe like the old school. Like, so if Anthony Anderson is the concerted cultivation, then his father, Lawrence Fishburne, is the
Natural.
accomplishment of natural growth on the show. So it's interesting. I'm not quite. I feel like it needs a little bit of time to get its pacing and stuff. It's just a pilot, but I think it was interesting. It's an interesting premise, and it's a sitcom, so sometimes it's not quite real life, but that's the point of it. It's supposed to be a comedy.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's my recommendation.
All right, good deal, and very apropos for Black and Bougie.
Right.
So, I have a more lowbrow thing, but it's from the corner store. It's not from the corner store though. So I've been writing about some real challenges, and I've been really, really frustrated. And one of the things that I found out not that long ago was, Hope is finding different ways of expressing frustration that really kind of surprised me because she was kind of trying to hide some of it. So I had to pull out this doll, and I'm about ready to get her one, but I need to kind of clean it up a little bit. But my sister sent me this doll a couple of years ago, and I'm going to try to share my screen so that you can see it. But it is called a Damn It doll. And
Excuse me. A
yeah,
what?
a Damn It doll. So I'm going to try to share my screen
As
here.
in DAMNIT.
DMMIT. So I don't know if you can see it.
Well, I can't see it, but I'm sure the audience can.
So I have a black and red and white one, but it is called a Damn It doll, and it has, and it's like a little rag doll. It's little, and you take it and you hit things with it. And so so it has a little inscription on it that says, whenever things don't go well and you want to hit the wall and yell, here's a little damn it doll that you can't do without. Just grasp it firmly by the legs and find a place to slam it. And as you whack the stuffing out, yell, damn it, damn it, damn it. Yes, I'm here for this doll. I'm about to wear mine out.
Wait a minute. So here's the tea, y'all, for those listening. She said she had this doll 3 years ago. Your own personal doll. When did you get that one?
Yeah, I've had it for a few years. My sister sent it to me during a rough time when I was in school.
That's the tea. There you go. Okay.
And, I pull it out every now and again. And this last, 2 weeks has been extraordinarily emotionally challenging for me. And I've been mad. That church thing really pissed me off. It did.
Yes.
It really made me mad. It wasn't, first I was hurt, and then I was just pissed off. And so I had to pull out the doll. And it's a very useful, constructive way of expressing anger. So
I like it.
It's only 16.
I like the concept.
Yeah, it's only $15.87 on the Amazon. And they do have it on Prime, so if everybody's into that, they got it in different colors. Like I said, I have a red, I have a black one. My sister got me a black one. It kind of, when you open the box, I thought she sent me a.
The doll is black. See, I can't see what you're looking at. So I really need you to explain what this is for the people who are listening on the podcast.
So,
right?
It's DAMMIT. Doll. So Google it, but it comes in a variety of colors and patterns. My sister sent me a black one with white spots and red hair.
Oh, black as in actually the color black.
The fabric is black and white polka dots.
Okay, gotcha.
When I first opened the box when she sent it to me a couple years ago, I really thought it was a voodoo doll, which at the time really was appropriate because I kind of needed one of those too. But
I like your sister. We need to meet. Hey, sissy.
It's a Sister K. Sister K sent me this doll, and I howled. It's one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. And whenever I pull it out and just start whacking stuff, it just brings me such joy. But it just also cracks me up because it's just such a cute little doll. So if you have frustrations and you can't go in the closet and yell. There's no place for you to really express it. Beating the damn it doll does not make a lot of noise. You can kind of do it in private. Get your stuff out. Get you some. I'm here for the damn it doll.
That is an awesome recommendation. I feel like that should be categorized under ratchet recommendation. I know you bougie, but I think that one should be under ratchet.
That would be my gay bouge recommendation for the evening.
Gay bouge recommendation.
That would be my gay bouge recommendation, the damn it dog. Get you some, $16, and if you got Prime, free shipping. So
I love it. I might need to invest in one immediately.
Get you one.
Yes.
So, so that's what I got. So, Mimi, where can they find you in the E Street?
You can find me at complicatedmelody.com. That's complicated melody with an I, not a Y, with an I. You can find me on Twitter at Mimi Complex. You can email me at complicatedmelody@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook under Complicated Melody. Where else am I in the streets? I think that's it. What about you? Where can they find you?
You can find me on the blog at adoptiveblackmom.com. I am also on the Twitters at adoptiveblackmom. Also Facebook, adoptiveblackmom. And hit me up on email at adoptiveblackmom@gmail.com.
All right, there you go. So it's been interesting, even though I haven't been able to see you this whole podcast.
No.
But we made it through.
Woo-woo.
It was a good conversation.
It was. So everybody join us back in 2 weeks. We'll be doing it all over again. If you have some topic suggestions, also tweet us or drop us a line by email or, hit us up in the comments. Start rating us. Oh, you got any shout-outs?
Yeah. Rate us. You can rate us on, if you drop us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Stitcher, we will read your comments
Yes,
on
yes.
the air.
Whoop,
Give
whoop.
us some feedback. Send us a letter. Send us a tweet so we can shout you out.
Yes. You got any shout outs?
Uh, I don't have any shout outs this year. I didn't get any this episode, I didn't get any feedback. You guys need to write me.
So, if you don't catch us live, certainly be catch us on YouTube or on iTunes or Stitcher.
Our unofficial recapper.
I was about to say our unofficial recapper, complete with gifts, future adopter, on A Sister's Guide to Adoption. Check her blog out. She's hilarious. I do want to shout out, of course, we shout out future adopter, but we also, I want to shout out Emily H.
Hey,
Who
Emily.
is awesome, hits me up on Twitter, and she was kind enough to send me an awesome link to an NPR story on a church, actually a church I used to go to in this area that does adoption ceremonies at their church. So thanks a lot for that piece of information, Emily, and keep in touch.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, I don't know how to stop the broadcast. Can you stop it?
I can't.
You can't? Oh, man. What do I do?
Okay, hold on. Let me see if there's a control room. No, see, it's a moderated call. You're gonna have to chop that part off.
All right, I'm just gonna have to hang up the whole thing. That's
All
what's
right.
gonna happen.
Hang up and then I'll call you.
Okay, great. That's what I'm gonna try to do. All right. Okay, today.